What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and are you ready to set some intentions for this week? Work with this energy. We got quite a bit going on. We got Mercury that's going to be talking with the North Node before it enters into Aries. So we got the Mercury getting ready to change sign. So whenever we got a planet that's changing sign, always a great time to see where you got Pisces and where you have Aries and what house or houses is this moving between. So and another time too, because we're going to talk about that Pisces and Aries axis a little bit too, that transition point there, because Venus is going to be stationing retrograde in Aries, and I find Venus retrogrades in the fire sign, they ain't no joke. that one in Leo, woof. And then lastly, we got a little bit of sun action, little sun Jupiter action, figuring out how the hell we're growing in all of this. And so we'll get into all that here and more in a moment. But if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and one of the things that I do on this channel is talk about the weekly transits, the celestial chit chat that's going on up in the sky. And I'm going to be covering the week of February 27th through March 5th. We're getting ready to get into March. Look at that. And let's get into this thing. Because the first transit we don't have isn't happening until the 1st of March. And March is coming in strong. Because at about 8:05 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, the Mercury is going to be forming a conjunction with the North Node. And this is going to be happening at 27 degrees and 24 minutes in Pisces. So when you talk about the conjunctions are a blend of energies. And this is interesting. This is Mercury, how we think, how we communicate, is understanding where we're going in life, because the North Node can be that uncharted territory. This is the part of the chart that's looking to get some sort of mastery in whatever house that's transiting in. And usually when you talk about the North Node, that means that that Mercury is forming an opposition with the South Node. And when we're talking about the South Node, that can be, I like to think of it as the past. This is where you can call on wisdom, because this is where you've been. Because you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. And so this is Mercury reflecting on that sign, that Virgo portion of your chart. These are the things that I used to do, and are they helping what is going for me now? So maybe this could be, for example, you're looking at if this is on your money axis, your second and your eighth house. Because I'm just thinking, I got a Leo rising. This could be where you're looking at one example. It could be like, oh, this is where I've been spending my resources, and this is how I want to do things differently. This is now I'm feeling that Pisces energy is feeling like I want to go more so in this direction. And now you can call on, okay, based on these results from the Virgo, this is how I can get to these results, or this is what I need to learn to get to this thing, or maybe this is happening between yourself and your relationships. Maybe there's something that's going on where you've changed, and now how are your relationships changing as well? So again, apply it to your situation here. But Mercury is thinking about that, and this is a tricky place for Mercury to be, because Mercury in Pisces is not only in its detriment, its opposite sign from its home sign of Virgo, but it's also in its fall in Pisces. And so there's maybe a lot of feelings that are coming up with this. Maybe you're sensing something is needing to change. And it's not making a lot of sense at first, because maybe you're getting like these visions. Maybe you're seeing some things in your dreams. Maybe you're getting these, so noticing some synchronicities. Maybe you think about a certain topic and then it comes up in a conversation on the opposite side of town, or things along those lines. It's a very intuitive, kind of quiet energy, a time to do some meditation, some visualization. Where do you go and where do you see yourself? Do you feel in alignment here? And that's going to, I think, apply very nicely to the next transit that we'll talk about here in a moment with Venus. But I wanted to talk about, when we talk about like conjunctions, and when I talk about where the planets are retrograding, the degrees that they retrograde at, I like to bring in the Sabian symbols, because there's a focus on those degrees, and I think they tell a unique story and add just a bit more flavor, a bit more nuance to the astrology. But where this conjunction is happening is phase 358 of Pisces, and I think this is rather lovely. This talks about a fertile garden under the full moon reveals a variety of full-grown vegetables, and it reminds me of like the three of cups. That's Mercury in Cancer, very abundant. And the keynote for this is the full satisfaction of the individual's basic needs. And I think that this is a great way of, or great work with this energy. Am I getting my basic needs? And I don't, and of course, in your material, are you able to, is your job doing what it needs to, or is your business doing what it's able to need to? Those basic needs. But how am I, am I feeding myself with nutritious foods? Am I able to make more time for that? What's getting in the way? Do I feel like I'm getting enough emotionally? Because we're talking about with Pisces energy, is there that reciprocity that's happening in my relationships, or am I noticing a lot of projections, or maybe there's been this weirdness with like maybe codependency or boundaries or something along those lines? Because that Mercury in Pisces again can be really confused, but I think that it can see things from a different light if you just like to dip into like what's feeling right, as opposed to maybe what's like I don't know. There's something about examining that and seeing what has maybe been taking away from your abundance. And you know what? That full moon might be an important thing to keep eyes on, because the Virgo full moon that we're going to have is going to be a total lunar eclipse. So there's going to be, we're getting ready to get into that time where eclipse season is we're here. That the energies are building up now, and it's happening in a new area of your chart, or it's happening in the same house but under a different frequency, if you're like doing like say Placidus, for example. So I think this is looking at, is this area of my chart, then where these eclipse points are going over. Am I getting the basic needs here? Am I growing the way that I need to, or is there something else I need to do to fulfill this thing? Is there something with that full moon that maybe something that I need to let go? Maybe something that has fulfilled its purpose there, that is over, that's just, it's come to, it's as full as it's going to be, and now it's time to, to hard take what you can from that and move forward, whatever that happens to mean for you. So yeah, just something to think about there with that conjunction. But a little bit later that same day, at about 4:37 p.m., Venus is going to station retrograde at 10 degrees and 50 minutes of Aries. And this is really interesting because Mercury's not too far behind her. Mercury's going to enter into Aries on the 3rd, I think. Yeah. Enter into Aries on the 3rd, and then both Venus and Mercury are going to retrograde from Pisces back into, or excuse me, from Aries back into Pisces. And that's exactly what the outer planets are doing to Neptune and Saturn are doing that. So there's a lot of focus here. And Venus is going to go from 10 degrees of Aries to about, where's she going to get to 24 degrees 37 minutes of Pisces. So if you have any planets or points around that time in the cardinal going into the mutable, this one may be working with you more closely. Pay attention to like Cancer, Capricorn placements, Libra placements for when in Aries, and then Sag, Gemini, and Virgo for the mutable placements, because those are going to be forming the squares and the opposition. So there may be a bit more tension there, a bit more challenges there possibly. So just something to just keep an eye on there. But Venus is in her detriment in Aries. This is where she's furthest away from Libra. But I find that how Venus manifests here, one way is that she goes after what she wants. It's not just about Venus just like attracting the things, like having the conversations, like doing the whole whining and dining and things like that. No, this is Venus like, I see it, I like it, I want it, and it's mine. And it's mine, and who's gonna stop me? I'm Venus. Maybe not that aggressive, but sometimes. But I think that what this Venus is looking at is going from, I have the things that I've been pursuing, one, have me feeling in this sense of power, or is this just an illusion that I've been selling myself? And this can be a time to see what maybe you've been just kind of attracting, maybe, or maybe even like kind of going after, maybe a bit mindlessly. And now this, once Venus gets back into Pisces, it's just like, oh, maybe I don't need this thing like I thought I did. You know what? This doesn't feel in alignment with me anymore. This is not like, I maybe, this could be where we're working on an addiction, or maybe you're working on different health regimen or something like that. Maybe we're working on our faith. But I think that this Venus is any kind of retrograde is just evaluating what has been going on in these themes in this house, and how have I been, maybe with Venus, the nature, the things with Venus, is there harmony in these houses, and where things may be rocky that I've been ignoring, possibly with the retrograde. That's another thing that we could think about with them. But one thing I found really interesting about this one is the saving symbol for this, because Venus is, she's going to be at this 10 degrees. She's been there since the 24th of February, and she's going to be at 10 degrees until the 8th. Yeah, until the 8th of March. And so she's going to be there for a while. And the phase for this 10-degree mark is phase 11 of Aries. And this talks about the ruler of a nation, which I found that really, really fascinating there. And the keynote for this is the power resulting from the format integration of the collective desire for order. And, I mean, think times are changing. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of shift in rulership during the Venus retrograde. I could even see this as maybe new people stepping up, as far as like, this is what I want order to look like, taking more autonomy for their lives. That's what I think of strength with Venus and Aries. But just because she's in her detriment, that doesn't mean she can't do anything. It's just she operates differently. That Aries energy is very active, that cardinal fire energy. And so this is not just like wishing and saying the things. This is like, okay, I want this change to happen, so I'm going to take that action. I'm going to do those things, and I'm going to start being the thing that I'm attract myself to it, and pull and make those connections and go out there. And there's something very revitalizing, I think, very too, about the Venus and Aries type of energy there, where she can win through love, by getting that balance there too. Just thinking, but there is something more kind of the goddess of war when Venus is in Aries here. So, just kind of pay attention to what's going on in the news. I'd be curious to see what that Venus retrograde and even Mercury retrograde will bring, because I think that these retrogrades of Mercury and Venus are going to be the kind of the micro versions of what's going to happen when Saturn and Neptune do their retrogrades and then form their conjunction in Aries, and what that tends to unfold. I think that's going to be a great prelude for what's to come, and kind of coming off of that North Node energy. Where do we want to go, knowing that change is in the air and that it's ours to grasp, with that Venus and Aries energy. So, something to think about, the power of collective desire. And I think that kind of flows very well, because into the next day, a Sunday, the 2nd of March, at about 10. Oh, and I tell you the day for the first one. This happened on a Saturn day, the 1st of March, for that first transit, or those first two transits. But yeah, on the 2nd of March, at about 10:18 a.m., the sun is going to form a square with Big Papa. And this is going to happen at 12 degrees and 25 minutes. The sun is in Pisces and Jupiter is in Gemini. Now, when you have the squares, there can be this call to action. There's this tension, maybe this need. Maybe there are some delays that comes up, some frustration that can come up in this. But I like to think of them as like there's a need to adjust something. You can't ignore this anymore. It's frustrating. It's in your face, and we got to do something about it with the square. And when you think about the sun in Pisces, this is how we've been feeling about how we're expanding. I think of how you're connected. Sun in Pisces is, I think, a very connected to source. Is very able to feel this is a very sensitive time for the collective to be when we're in Pisces season, because we can get in alignment with that divine will. Does this really feel right? And notice what energies maybe have been impeding my growth, where there's just been a lot of noise, that Jupiter and Gemini, and how can I get out of the head and more into the intuitive space, into the feelings, and just make some space for just some quiet and get information on a different type of level, to see where spirit guides you. This could be a great time to just, nothing wrong with like technology or anything, but being intentional with the technology. What are you looking up? What is flowing through your energies? Is it great fuel for the body, or does it leave you stressed? That's something to pay attention to there. But I think that this could be a great time to look at different books or things, or to even explore maybe even some different side of like seminars, something that gives yourself like this is how I want to see. Put yourself in like in a tag, or in the protagonist place. Like, this is my hero, or I'm in this hero space. I'm going through these challenges right now, but I will overcome this thing. And something about that, I think, could even get you in a place of action, or at least bring this idea of expansion. I think when you have the Sun and Jupiter squaring off with one another, there's just like how have I been expanding on my divine path here? So just something to kind of reflect on there. And then the last transit here is going to be on a moon day, the 3rd of March, and this is when Mercury is going to be entering into Aries. This is going to happen pretty early at about 1:04 a.m. Now, Mercury in Aries, I find, is inspired. I think Mercury in Aries is prolific. I think that it is one, though, that does first and thinks later. So that is something to keep in mind with Aries. But I do think that this is a time where you can really get, again, Mercury's in its shadow period now. So, because Mercury's going to retrograde in about on the 14th. So we got about a little under 2 weeks before that's going to happen. And Mercury's going to go from 9 degrees of Aries to 26 of Pisces. So this period of time up into that Mercury's in Aries, see what comes up, where the mind is at, what's inspiring you. Because when Mercury goes back, then it's like, what am I going to do with that? How can I make this thing manifest? What are some things that I need to learn? And then once it gets back into Pisces, I think there will be that surge of inspiration. It's just like you get the visual downloads for things, and then once it goes direct, you'll know how to carry that thought forward, that idea forward. So that could just be one way that this is coming up for you. But otherwise, I would just pay attention to what house do you have Aries in, and because your thoughts and things, and those are going to be where that's going to be more of a focus, that area of your chart there. So just pay attention and see what's looking for expansion, for some growth, some adjustment, and things along those lines there. But I do find Aries a time where, especially being in this kind of Pisces energy, it can help put more motivation behind it, as opposed to feeling sort of in that sort of Pisces soup. It can help you feel more kind of like, okay, enough daydreaming. Now I want to put a plan into action. I want to do something with this. I've been feeling this inspiration. Now I want to be this inspiration with that Mercury in Aries there. So again, very inspired, but I think the idea, similar to kind of like Min Sag, could be fleeting if you don't grab onto them while the energy's hot there. So just something I think to pay attention to. But that's all I got for you there. Yeah, that Pisces Aries axis is very important. And so yeah, if you can, just again pay attention to what themes are coming up if you don't have like maybe your birth time, just to see what's coming up, because those are going to be a focus coming into next year. From this year going into next year, when Saturn and Neptune move. And that's going to be the big talk that's going to be happening there then as they separate and things. So yeah, just to be forewarned, is to get prepared, and to really, instead of letting this energy happen to you, you happen to the energy. So, and if you want to work more personally with this trend, it's going to understand what areas are being highlighted for you. Down in the description box is a link to get in touch with me and discuss the different services that I have, to see which one makes sense for you, so that we can work with these energies and just help you grow into yourself, and to make the most of the tools that you have in your toolbox, because there's all sort of things to help guide you through this. I mean, working with your solar return, your lunar return, it's all very beneficial there. And if you want to, oh, also on this channel, one thing I do, I don't think I've done any. I've done some, but I have some Pisces and some Aries videos, but I've done different planetary videos talking about them in different signs and different houses. So that's available to you on this video or on this channel as well. And then there's a link for my other channel, the Charity and Friends, where I discuss all things lunar shenanigans. I talk about what sign the moon is in, what phase she's in, and when she's going void of course. And in honor of the, well, I had this inspiration. I got this idea that I'm going to be unveiling at the Pisces new moon. Yeah, it's probably already out at this time. I got to see when is the Pisces moon thing. Oh yeah, that would have already happened. So I'm doing a new thing on that channel, a new way of just a new something extra. Go over there and see it. It's cool. But yes, and there's a tarot reading at the end there too. So all types of, you get to see how I incorporate how the mysticism works in my day-to-day life. So, but yeah, that's all I got for you there. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one, Mercury Day.